Finally, he swiftly moved from declaring all-out war on the Trump administration to voting to confirm justice-involved person and Trump family relative Charles Kushner as ambassador to France, demonstrating just how committed Booker really is to actually fighting Trump administration nepotism and thuggery.
Krystal Ball did an outstanding takedown of Cory Booker, who seems to be one of the more performative Democrats right now. There's lots of talk, but very little action from Cory Booker. I wanted to share this on the channel. So we're going to take a look at Krystal Ball going after Cory Booker on breaking points. I'm going to share my thoughts on this as well. Let's get into it together.
Krystal, what are you taking a look at? Wow, I haven't said that in a while.
Well, in a Senate that is full of amoral, psychopathic monsters, it can be difficult to choose among the various odious figures who should truly reach the S tier of villainy. You've got your proudly genocidal types like John Fetterman. You've got your Islamophobic pro-crypto sellouts like Kirsten Gillibrand. But in terms of the Democratic caucus, at least, in my humble opinion, Cory Booker is the worst. He is just the fucking worst. Booker combines theatrical vacuous preening with corporate slavishness with moral horrors for a total package that is thoroughly and completely repugnant. Please, for the love of God, someone decent primary this man. So the problems with Cory Booker, of course, they're nothing new. I actually attended a wedding that he officiated once, and I swear to God, the first maybe 20 minutes of the ceremony he spent describing his own personal faith journey. Leave it to Cory Booker to make a wedding about himself instead of, I don't know, maybe the bride and groom. I'm also old enough to remember when Booker went on Meet the Press as a top Obama surrogate to decry that campaign's attacks on Mitt Romney's Bain Capital private equity record. This was really something.
That stuff, I have to just say from a very personal level, I'm not about to sit here and indict private equity. To me, it's just this, we're getting to a ridiculous point in America, especially that I know I live in a state where pension funds, unions, and other people are investing in companies like Bain Capital. If you look at the totality of Bain Capital's record, they've done a lot to support businesses, to grow businesses, and this, to me, I'm very uncomfortable. You know, this kind of stuff is nauseating to me on both sides. It's nauseating to the American public. Enough is enough. Stop attacking private equity, stop attacking Jeremiah Wright. This stuff has got to stop, because what it does is it undermines, to me, what this country should be focused on. It's a distraction from the real issues. It's either going to be a small campaign about this crap, or it's going to be a big campaign, in my opinion, about the issues that American public cares about.
Nauseating. Okay. The Obama campaign and Democratic base backlash against Cory Booker was swift after those comments. I remember a sweaty, nervous Rachel Maddow interview he did in the aftermath of those comments to try to clean it up, but he never really fully recanted. It was a very revealing episode because it broadcast that he was willing to take the heat, even against Obama, the most beloved figure in the Democratic Party, in order to defend the honor of Capitol. His mentality is donor first through and through, but wrapped in a shoddy veneer of supposed progressivism. Booker's not stupid, though. Unlike some of his duller compatriots who thought that there was political advantage to be gained from playing footsie with MAGA, like, let's say, Gavin Newsom, having Charlie Kirk and Steve Bannon on his podcast, or all of the Doge caucus people, Booker recognized pretty quickly in Trump 2.0 that the Democratic base was desperate for figures who would stand up and fight the Trump administration. So what did Cory Booker do? Well, he strapped on an adult diaper and took to the floor of the Senate for an epic filibuster, boldly speaking truth to power for hour after hour after hour, excoriating the Trump administration, promising to fight their power grab at every turn, eventually breaking the record for the longest ever floor speech. Maybe, we thought, this man has turned a page. Maybe he's decided to rise to the historical moment, to put grassroots democracy over donor-driven capitulation. But even in this speech marathon, the red flags were pretty clear. First of all, it wasn't actually a filibuster, as it wasn't blocking any actual action. Second, he used some of his time to embrace abundance, the big money-backed neoliberal rebrand dedicated to putting a glossy new sheen on status quo politics. Finally, he swiftly moved from declaring all-out war on the Trump administration to voting to confirm justice-involved person and Trump family relative Charles Kushner as ambassador to France, demonstrating just how committed Booker really is to actually fighting Trump administration nepotism and thuggery. The Kushner vote was particularly egregious, given that he was convicted of some pretty wild crimes in Booker's own home state of New Jersey. You guys can go and look that one up. In fact, only a handful of Senate Democrats have supported more Trump nominees than Cory Booker has, the man who theatrically pledged to fight the Trump administration relentlessly. Booker is apparently all resistance in the streets, but capitulation in the sheets. The dude is also utterly shameless, too. When the Newark mayor and New Jersey congressional members were arrested attempting to examine an ICE detention facility, Booker, of course, nowhere to be found. When other members were flying to El Salvador to demand the release of innocents from a slave labor camp, Booker was reported to be planning a trip, but seemingly quashed it when Hakeem Jeffries told Democrats that they needed to back off the case. So while substantive action has ranged from non-existent to outright complicit, theatrics have certainly continued. Most recently, Booker got into an intentionally noisy spat with Senator Amy Klobuchar. Apparently, Booker was looking to grandstand over some provision in a policing bill. Klobuchar was pissed off and disgusted with this little performance because he actually couldn't be bothered to show up for the committee vote when said provision was actually being discussed and voted on. So here is a snippet of Booker's outburst.
I was just called out by name and I want to respond. I don't need somebody implying in any way that this is not vital to me and my state, that we have resources for our police officers. But what I am tired of is when the President of the United States of America violates the Constitution, trashes our norms and traditions. And what does the Democratic Party do? Comply? Allow him? Beg for scraps? No, I demand justice. It's time for Democrats to have a backbone. It's time for us to fight. It's time for us to draw lines. And when it comes to the safety of my state being denied these grants, that's why I'm standing here. Don't question my integrity. Don't question my motives. I'm standing for Jersey. I am standing for my police officers. I'm standing for the Constitution, and I'm standing for what's right.
Standing for what's right, you say? Well, it will surprise no one to learn that shortly after this tour de force of moral preening, I believe in front of an empty chamber, by the way, Booker would once again vote to ship offensive weapons to Israel so they can continue their campaign of terror against starving Palestinian children. What clarity, what courage, what incredible moral leadership. And truly, it is with Israel's genocide in Gaza where Booker has reached his final, most despicable form. It will not surprise you to learn that he is a top recipient of Israel lobby funds, and he votes and acts accordingly in seemingly every instance.
Surprise, surprise. I wanted to go back to his appearance on Meet the Press earlier, Cory Booker's, that Krystal Ball showed the clip of, and he actually uses the term both sides. Both sides, this both-siderism mentality is what is killing the Democratic Party. The idea that both sides are bad, well, both sides are bad. So it's truly incredible for me to have a senator actually talking about both-siderism. Until the Democratic Party figures out that their future is in people like Mamdani, who it appears, we don't know. He's fairly new on the scene, but he's at least saying the right things. Mamdani, I'm talking about, in terms of trying to actually fight for regular people instead of trying to fight for lobbyists, which is what Krystal Ball is showing here on the screen and is going to get into. Cory Booker and others like him are dinosaurs within the Democratic Party. And I don't mean, he's not that old, but this mentality of we'll just be Republican light. That's why the Democrats continue to lose elections to people like Donald Trump. If you put up a candidate who would actually fight for the beliefs of the American people, and if the Democratic Party would actually let a person get in there, get the nomination, unlike what they did with Bernie Sanders, where they put their thumb on the scale to keep him from getting nominated. If they would actually let someone get the presidential nomination who would be a fighter for American people, not fighting for lobbyists and lobbyists for foreign countries. Polls are showing single-digit support among Democratic voters for Israel. But what do we have? Cory Booker obviously taking a lot of money from that country. He continues to fight for them and to fight against voters in the Democratic Party.
He's been enthusiastic in efforts to criminalize criticism and boycotts of Israel. He goes that extra mile by attending AIPAC policy conferences. He even gushed in leaked audio about how he texts back and forth with AIPAC's president like they're a couple of teenagers. Par for the course, I guess, for someone with an apparent multi-decade close friendship with the utterly reprehensible Rabbi Shmuley. Here they are together, horsing around at a Purim party at Oxford in 1993. By all accounts, the two were extremely close friends for decades, falling out, according to Booker, over Shmuley being so self-promoting that even Cory Booker couldn't quite take it. I guess the man does have some limits, apparently. But Booker's ironclad commitment to Israel has outlasted his schmooly bromance. In fact, perhaps nothing so accurately encapsulates the putrid essence of Cory Booker as this photo with wanted war criminal Benjamin Netanyahu back when he was in town just a few weeks ago. Cory has the intellect to know a photo op with Bibi, probably a bad look while babies are literally being starved, so he hides his face. But he lacks the integrity to actually buck his donors. So there Cory is, in the photo, lamely trying to hide behind someone. Now he claims the photographer positioned him this way. Okay. Now it goes without saying, you'd be hard-pressed to identify a more monstrous and destructive figure in the entire world than Netanyahu. And yet here is self-anointed moral warrior Cory Booker meeting with modern-day Hitler. So he can hear the latest Hasbara talking points about how children with pre-existing conditions don't really count as starving, or how American Jews voting for Zoran are actually Hamas. Speaking of Zoran, guess who refuses to get behind the Democratic nominee for New York City in spite of a resounding 12-point victory? You guessed it, Mr. Courageous himself, Cory Booker.
About Mamdani, are you going to support him?
I have learned a long time ago, let New York politics be New York politics. We got enough challenges in Jersey. I got a governor's race. I'm supporting Mikey Sherrill. I got legislative races. That's where my energy is going to go going into November. New York City, I love you. You're my neighbor. You're about 10 miles from where I live. You guys figure out your elections. I'm going to focus on mine.
Would you be surprised if I informed you that his don't endorse in New York rule is not some consistent Booker anti-meddling policy? In fact, for years, Cory Booker ran a PAC that endorsed Democrats in races across the country. And he currently sits on the board of the PAC Democrats for Education Reform, a group founded by billionaire and former mayoral candidate Whitney Tilson, and which endorses candidates who are against teachers' unions and generally in favor of charter schools. He's got no problem endorsing candidates in New York or in any other state, by the way. He just doesn't want to support this particular candidate. Given Cory's delight at texting like a teenager with AIPAC and his close association with billionaire Zionist Whitney Tilson, who made his whole mayoral campaign about Israel, I think we all know why the supposed progressive just can't bring himself to support the progressive Democratic nominee for mayor. To top off all the self-congratulation and cash grab and really wrap it all in a bow, Booker has decided to turn his 25-hour speech into a book called Stand. On the publisher's website, they describe Stand as, quote, a celebration of the Americans who chose to get up in the face of injustice, who championed the uniquely American values central to making our nation a more perfect union, despite seemingly insurmountable obstacles. It's also, they say, a guide for today. Leadership is not derived from position or title. It comes from action and example. Action and example, really? Booker's actions have been grandstanding. His example has been support for a genocide, co-opting progressive language to run cover for a rogue ethno-state. For these reasons, and so many more, I do hereby declare that Cory Booker is just the fucking worst.
So that was pretty outstanding from Krystal Ball, I would say. Cory Booker's book is one that I will not be reading. And it's incredible that we have members of Congress, Democratic senators, who will give more support to a foreign country than they will a Democrat running for governor in their neighboring state. Cory Booker wants to stay out of it in terms of any kind of endorsement for Mamdani in New York City, but he's happy to give all kinds of support to a foreign country. It's just incredible. It's upside down. And again, is there an issue that the Democratic establishment, the Democratic Party politicians, are more out of step with their base with than their support of Israel? Democratic voters are saying enough. We don't want any more of this. We don't want any more money going to them. We don't want any more weapons going to them. But Cory Booker and others like him are falling all over themselves to support Israel. Hopefully, we start having some real primary campaigns against Democrats like Cory Booker. And hopefully they are not the future, and Democrats like Mamdani are. Mamdani is absolutely right when he says that his job is to represent the people of New York City, not to represent and be going to visit another country. So as Krystal Ball says, is Cory Booker the worst? I mean, we had Joe Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema. It would be work to be worse than the two of them. But Cory Booker can't be far behind. And what do you think we're going to see going into 2026 and 2028? Do you think any of these leopards will change their spots? Cory Booker and others, these establishment Democrats, do you think they will start to get the picture? I don't even know why I'm asking this question because I know they're not going to do it. All you have to do is look at that $871,000 that Cory Booker received. They're going to do everything they can to try to squash the people like Mamdani and AOC and Bernie Sanders, people who are actually trying to fight for regular people. And I know some people are viewing AOC and Bernie Sanders as sellouts now. If you think Bernie Sanders and AOC are sellouts, I don't know who you think is ever going to get elected that you're going to be happy with. But what do you think about Krystal Ball's assessment here? Is Cory Booker the worst? Let me know in the comments what you think. Make sure to give me a like and subscribe. I'm Chris on Culture, and I will see you in the next video.